Thank you for being here at our virtual solar and energy efficiency tour of Des Moines. My name is Jordan Oster, and I am the Energy Outreach and Advocacy Coordinator with the Iowa Environmental Council. Today, we'll give you the opportunity to learn about how local businesses and organizations are saving energy and money using solar power and energy efficiency. In normal times, clean energy advocates organize in-person energy tours for state and local officials to see projects close to home. Though in these unordinary times, we are fortunate to be able to include more community members in this type of virtual event. You'll learn about energy conservation projects, hear from companies and organizations undertaking them, and meet some of the energy specialists that make these projects a reality. Iowa abounds with opportunities for clean energy growth. Our cities, which consume the most energy, can play an increased role in creating emissions-free energy and reducing energy waste in our buildings. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize the City Council members from Des Moines who are on this call, as well as city and county staff who are joining us. Thank you for being with us. This event has come together with the help of many hands. Oh, let me advance my slide here. This event has come together with the help of many hands. The Iowa Environmental Council, where I am on staff, is a statewide, non-governmental, nonprofit organization headquartered in Des Moines. IEC is the state's largest environmental coalition. Celebrating our 25th year, our membership-based organization focuses on clean energy and clean water policy in Iowa. 1,000 Friends of Iowa is the only group in the state focused solely on promoting responsible land use and sustainability in community, state, and federal decisions. Annually, the 1,000 Friends of Iowa honors Iowans with their development awards to showcase development projects and programs in Iowa that best reflect the principles of smart growth, sustainability, and uphold the mission of the organization. And finally, the Des Moines Citizen Taskforce on Sustainability, which was formed by the city as a citizen-led coalition working toward a more resilient and equitable city. The task force engages the community and advises the city of Des Moines on issues such as reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Today, we will hear from 5 different presenters that represent a wide swath of the community. We have the Waldinger Corporation, Kemin Industries, the Energy Group, CB Solar, and DART. One housekeeping note for us today. We'd like to take questions after each presenter. Please use the Q&A tool for any and all questions that you may have today. We are going to jump right into it, and we will start with a presentation from the Waldinger Corporation. I will hand over the screen sharing to them now. Amanda, if you want to kick it off.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Zwanziger, and I am the Energy and Facility Solutions leader for the Waldinger Corporation. And joining me is Paul Robertson, who is a senior project manager for our electrical division as well. Can you guys see my screen, my presentation? You can. All right. I'm briefly going to give you guys just an introduction to the Waldinger Corporation, so you guys have a little bit of an idea of what went into our new corporate headquarters. So the Waldinger Corporation is actually made up of 3 different companies. So the Waldinger Corporation that you probably see white trucks driving around, and that's our large mechanical, electrical, plumbing, sheet metal company. We have TWC Services, which is a similar type of company, but serves the southeast of the United States. And then Quality Manufacturing Company, which is also in the metro, and they make a number of agricultural components. Our new corporate headquarters is housing the corporate support roles for all 3 organizations, as well as being our Iowa headquarters for the Waldinger Corporation, the white trucks. So we have over 3,000 employees in the company. And then representing here in Iowa, we have just over 1,500 employees. So we're a large employer here in the state. So we built a new corporate headquarters. If any of you guys have traveled down 63rd Street at 63rd and McKinley, just south of where the Boy Scouts headquarters is where you're going to find our new headquarters and operations production facility. We completed it in July and moved in. At least some people moved in. As you can imagine, we opened doors and not everybody moved in here this year, but we've got over 87,000 square feet of office space and over 116,000 square feet of production facility. And so a lot of facility we've got there. It was an important part of the build process to build a number of sustainable features into it. We have over 30 acres of land and have focused on, we're planting 360 trees and bushes. We have flowering prairies. We have detention ponds and walking paths and a working garden. So the sustainable features are an important part of this process. From a technology standpoint, Waldinger is actually in this space as far as delivering it for our customers, both from mechanical, electrical, plumbing solutions. We incorporated, as you can imagine, LED lighting, all of the latest and greatest as far as energy efficient technologies, as well as a VRF HVAC system. But what we plan to share with you today is what we did from a solar perspective. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul Robertson to share with you what we did from a solar perspective.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, definitely this new building has been real exciting for us, and we've done several solar projects across the metro. Starting back in 2013, I believe, was our first one. And the technology in the solar has really advanced. This is a decent sized array that we put on our building. We designed it internally in-house, and of course we have those white trucks you see all over with lots of electricians in town. So we were able to do the design and the install for the system. I mentioned the technology. This one utilizes what's called power optimizers, which are they have several advantages. One being we get to put very long strings on this, which also reduces installation costs. And that technology allows us to kind of see what's going on with each of the 432 modules on the roof. We can see right down to the module level how they're performing, how they're doing. Like I mentioned, if you want to advance the slide, Amanda. This system at 168 kW, it supplies about 24% of the office electrical needs, and we have a good sized office and lots of efficiencies in that office as well. We do have a couple notes there about kind of what that equates to, offsetting 20 million smartphone charges, 171,000 pounds of coal, and these are all annual figures. And then based on the size of this array, this could annually supply the power to 20 homes in Iowa each year. So good sized array, and we were excited to put it up.
Thank you, Paul. That is the presentation that we prepared. We're ready to answer any questions that anyone might have. I see no open questions, Jordan.
Any questions from any of our attendees? Now's the time. We also will have maybe some remaining time at the end of the discussion.
This is Jeremy Karen, the Sustainability Program Manager with the City of Des Moines. Just wondering what type of metrics are being tracked as part of the installation, and whether there was any modeling done for like the energy use of the new facility with the efficiency and renewables versus like business as usual scenarios?
Paul, do you want to take that question?
Sure. So we definitely modeled the building. Our mechanical engineers modeled it through NREL. We're able to kind of predict what a solar array this size will do, and then based on our efficient lighting and efficient mechanical heating and cooling systems, that's where we're able to come up with the kind of amount of power that we're able to offset with this system.
Thank you.
Great. We have a few questions in the Q&A tool. One question is for Mike. It looks like there's more room. Are there expansion plans? It may be related to this too. Sharon asked, why not larger? She might be talking about the solar array, but do you have future plans at the space that would keep incorporating these practices?
We do. Definitely this roof has a lot of room for growth. When we initially sized this array, we wanted it big enough to make a significant impact and allow for kind of a future expansion. We also had a budget to work with on this project with the new facility. So if we kind of hit the sweet spot with this array, based on the size of our electrical service, based on the free area of the roof, this was one that we could really do efficiently without added cost of getting bigger.
Very good. Jane asked a similar question. Were there options you didn't pursue due to cost? But I think your answer there, Paul, touched on that a little bit, sizing your solar system for what your needs were.
Yeah, when we get into a building like this, especially on new construction, it's real easy to add all the things that we need efficiently to cut down the cost on this. For instance, you know, some of the larger expense are the large feeders that need to get this power back into our internal grid so we can use it. And when we're designing and installing it during the building process, we can do things like put those things underground. It's a lot easier to do that type of thing than try to run overhead large conduits through an existing space.
Well, very good. We'll take just one more question. Did you consider geothermal and or wind? That's from Jerry in our Q&A tool. You know, wind, small scale wind, you know, really is not used the same way it was in Iowa a decade or 2 decades ago. But on the geothermal question, Paul, was that a consideration for this space?
Paul, if I may.
It was.
Yeah. Sorry,
Go ahead, Amanda.
No, you can go ahead.
Well, that's a little out of my realm. I know they definitely considered it for this space. That variable refrigerant system that they ultimately settled on, in our experience, has been one of the most efficient heating and cooling systems out there.
Yeah, and I'd just add to that, you know, the mechanical space is, you know, we're a thought leader and a design builder for another number of companies, and geothermal makes a whole lot of sense in so many applications, but there are other considerations based on the application. And, you know, we're operating a very large production facility and have a lot of other things we need to consider in that design. And so that was absolutely an efficiency driven decision, the VRF system was.
Well, very good.
I guess, concerning the comparison to wind on this one, one of the reasons we like solar so much is there's very little maintenance to it. You have a lot, you don't have any moving parts. It's the modules on the roof, the inverters, and then conduit and wire, stuff that doesn't wear out. So with a system like this, once it's installed, we're going to have very little trouble with it for the next, 25 to 30 years.
Well, very good. I hate to cut off the conversation. I'm sure we could dive into this project quite a bit more. If we do have some more time for questions at the end, if you want to circle back on the Waldinger project, there'll be time then. But now I'd like to move it over to our next presentation, and that will be Heather Christensen speaking for Kemin Industries.
Thanks,
Heather,
Jared.
you can share your screen and take it away.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Christensen. I am trying to share my screen here. Okay, I am the Senior Market Research Analyst, but also known as the Sustainability Coordinator at Kemin Industries. So I want to start you off by letting you know what Kemin's vision is. That is that we strive to sustainably transform the quality of life every day for 80% of the world with our products and services. So Kemin has more than 15 manufacturing locations worldwide. We operate in more than 90 countries and have customers in more than 120 countries. And every day we strive to sustainably transform about 7.2 billion lives as a manufacturer of over 500 specialty ingredients. So these ingredients are in the markets of animal nutrition and health, aquaculture, pet food and rendering, human nutrition and health, food technologies, crop technologies, and also textile auxiliaries. In June of 2019, Kemin announced that new vision, and it really represents our commitment to a sustainable future. And around that same time, we began to measure our energy usage, and we started at our worldwide headquarters campus. So this is right here in Des Moines, Iowa. We wanted to start understanding what our environmental footprint is. And after we benchmarked the Des Moines campus, we started doing that with our manufacturing facilities around the world. So we did this because we want to understand our environmental impact, and climate change is a global issue. As a global company, this is an area where we can lead. We want to control our environmental impact, and what better place to start with than our corporate global headquarters. There's an expectation within those industries that I mentioned to align with clean energy transition, reduce our emissions, produce products with clean energy. We considered multiple solar installations, and we still are, but the first to be realized is our global headquarters building in the heart of Des Moines. And this project will be complete at the end of this year. So I want to give you, before we jump into the Kemin drone, to look at some of the drone shots of what we've already accomplished and where we're going to install. I want to give you a little background on why we're doing this. So how energy is produced is what is important for emission reduction. Emissions are quantified using rules that categorize emission by the source. And there are global standards that categorize 3 types of emissions. The Scope 2 emissions, which result from the production of electricity, are the ones that we're looking at with this solar installation. So Kemin's on-site solar project will produce renewable energy that offsets these Scope 2 emissions. So the project details are that we are providing solar to approximately 90,000 square feet of our global headquarters. The construction is taking place in 2 phases. The first of which is a fixed tilt roof mounted array, and that system is 388 kW, and that's on our headquarters roof. The system that is starting construction and installation right now is another 331 kW, and this represents a single axis active tracking ground mounted system that will be completed by the end of the year. And the total system size for this will be just over 720 kW when it's complete. We've been working with Ideal Energy from Fairfield, so they're a leading solar energy company in the Midwest. We've been able to look at tour some of the other facilities where they've done installations and see some of the options during the design plan for this. So here is a nice shot where we're looking at our global headquarters building when construction was just beginning on the rooftop. In the background, you can see our crop sciences greenhouse, and then some of our other encapsulation facilities are off to the right of the screen there. Here's another view where we're looking down on the installation progress. Now I want you to pay some attention here when we start the next video. So this is looking from the corner of Martin Luther King and Southeast 18th Street. And you'll see that green space in the front of that parking lot there. So this is our global headquarters again, the employee parking lot, and we can see a little bit of the rest of the campus here. So we sit right on the front of the corporate campus. We have a lot of our manufacturing facilities that start to come into view in this scene as well, showing kind of how big that the campus is. And the next shot here is the completed solar panels on the roof. So this is, I believe, in July of this summer when the installation of the panels was complete. And we can see the coverage there on the roof. Okay, so phase 2 of our project has just begun. They've been drilling the borings that go under the parking lot to the main electric, and they will start installing the panels here this next week. So this is positioned in that green space that I showed you that is on the northeast corner of MLK and Southeast 18th. These panels that are going here are part of the active tracking arrays. So they rotate to follow the sun's path through the sky. They are positioned from east to west. If you look at the top right picture in this slide, you'll see this is the view from Martin Luther King looking east, and this is the direction the solar panels will face in the morning. So they'll be greeting commuters when they're on their way into work into downtown Des Moines. The middle right picture shows the orientation at midday, and the lower right photo is the west-facing panels that you'll see in the afternoon or evening. So these panels will also be bifacial, and that will add additional efficiency, especially on overcast and snowy days. So quickly, I'll go over the project benefits that we're seeing from this. So the solar installation is going to reduce Kemin CO2 emissions at over 18,000 metric tons over 25 years. So this is equivalent to 300,000 trees planted and grown for 10 years. This really demonstrates Kemin's commitment to the clean energy transition. And this is something that's hugely important to our customers, important to our employees, and important to our stakeholders. This has a longer return on conventional investments that we typically consider, but there were additional benefits that were considered when we looked at this, and that's visibility, benefits to the brand, differentiating ourselves, and creating greater environmental value for everyone. So this represents around $80,000 a year in utility savings that will be able to be reinvested elsewhere. So with that, thank you. And I'll take any questions then.
Thank you, Heather. We have about 2.5 minutes for questions. We'll start with people in the panelist setting. Does anybody have any questions for Heather? And then if anybody has any questions for the Q&A tool, please use that to ask them.
So I see a question on what bifacial is. So bifacial means that the panels will have panels on the front and also on the back of the system. So that was kind of important aesthetically also, because as the panels tilt, we're going to be seeing both sides of those panels. So that looks better that way, and it's also picking up additional energy as it's reflecting off the ground or off the snow or on, like it said, overcast days.
Great. I see a question here from Jane, who asks, do you have plans to install solar in other locations?
Yes, right now there are 2 other projects for our global locations that have went through our financial process. So we are starting the planning for those. One of them is in Europe, and I believe the other one is in, oh, actually one is in China, and then one in our South African facility, which is a new facility being built with multiple sustainability features to it.
And we have one more question from Jerry, who asked, is Kemin 100% off the grid with these 2 solar arrays?
Absolutely not. So you saw this, you could kind of get a little bit of an idea that our campus is very large from the flyover that we just did. But this array, the roof mounted and the ground mounted array, are going to power just the headquarters office building. So it's a small part of our entire campus. And one thing that's interesting to note is that there are other strategies that we need to use as a large campus and a large business to be able to meet an energy transition. So if we utilized all roof space on our campus and all available ground space, we probably would not be able to meet the energy requirements of our campus. So there's other strategies that need to be incorporated to be able to meet that as a company.
This is Councilmember Mandelbaum. I just had a question. You mentioned the benefit of the solar to your larger brand, and I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit more and how you sort of see sustainability goals helping from a competitive perspective.
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of our Kemin's customers, so we sell to other businesses. We are ingredients that go into a lot of the things that you're familiar with in your everyday life. So our customers are some of these big names that you would recognize. And these bigger companies are making commitments to sustainability and commitments to clean energy right now. They are expecting their suppliers to do the same thing and to follow along. So it's really critical to business to be able to be on board with this. And being a family-owned company, it is so very important to the family that owns our company, the Nelson family, to be able to operate a company following ethical and environmental values. So they want their company to persist and remain in the family and remain privately owned. So sustainability is a natural step in that respect as well.
Well, great. Thank you, Heather, for that presentation and look at Kemin Industries' new solar projects. We are going to move next to a presentation from the Energy Group, who is going to talk about a local project here at the Wright Elementary School. I will share my screen now to get their slides up, and we'll be hearing from Kelly and Emily.
Thanks, Jordan. So we can go into the next slide. Just a brief introduction for those of you that aren't familiar with the Energy Group. We've been around Iowa for 32 years. We deliver energy solutions to folks, helping them find energy savings and manage energy use across their portfolios. We help businesses big and small do this. We also work with utilities delivering energy efficiency programs. We have a team of engineers, certified energy managers, BPI, certified building auditors, and project managers, as well as other professionals that help us deliver our services. Oftentimes we serve as an energy expert, adding on to an existing team within an entity or a business or even a public entity or group. And we advocate for energy efficiency, not just as, building improvement solution, but as a way to stimulate our local and regional economy. We think that it is good for the environment, it's good for the economy, and it's definitely good for business and for homeowners. So here's some of the services that we offer, but really any and all things related to energy management in the built community we do. So I'm not going to labor too much over that. You can go on to the next slide, and Kelly's going to talk through some of our work at Wright Elementary. We've been a partner with Des Moines Public Schools for a number of years. We've helped them on a number of their initiatives, and they're an Energy Star Partner of the Year award winner many years running. Des Moines Public Schools is a leader in energy efficiency, and we've been very proud to partner with them over the course of more than 15 years. So Kelly, take it away, and let's talk through some of the projects at Wright.
Great, thank you, Emily. Just to give you an idea, you know, there are 66 of Des Moines Schools buildings that are Energy Star rated. We just happen to pick Wright because we also have a solar thermal project as part of this facility that we're evaluating on an ongoing basis. The Energy Star score at Wright is 86. It's about a 30,000 square foot building occupied by about 100 kids and staff. They typically use about $24,000 a year in energy. This facility is an all-electric building that was converted from a boiler system several years ago. You can go to the next slide, Jordan.
Nope. There we go.
Yeah, just give you an idea of some of the things that, I mean, this would be fairly boring for this group. You guys seem to be pretty up to date on all these fairly standard upgrades, but almost anything and everything that could be done from a cost-effective standpoint, because economics certainly drive things in the public sector for Des Moines schools. But interior and exterior lighting, the geothermal, as I mentioned, we converted a previously pneumatic system to direct digital control, DDC. The solar thermal hot water system, which was installed, and then we refer to kind of our ongoing commissioning services for Des Moines schools as building tune-up. Energy Star coined a phrase, treasure hunting, which is kind of the same thing that our building tune-up services are. So next slide, Jordan. Got a few, yeah, similar to the previous slide. Probably one of the biggest upgrades we made throughout the district is to get everything onto a Johnson control system so that we can have remote access from anywhere in the city or even remotely to be able to adjust set points, respond to hot and cold calls, creature comfort issues, be able to adjust setback. Many schools within the district have a variety of different schedules based on after-hour activities, community use, so on and so forth, and to stay ahead of things from a preventive maintenance standpoint. Next slide, Jordan. Some economic things to look at relative to this particular building. We've got, you know, energy savings that we identified. I think something Jeremy mentioned during the Waldinger presentation, a question he asked is, we've modeled literally, from an energy modeling standpoint, we've modeled all of the Des Moines school buildings. So we've got access very easily to going in and tweaking those models and identifying economic impacts from potential improvements that can be made. So you can see here, some of the things that we found during our building tune-up walkthroughs was, you know, when a new gym was added, there were some ventilation issues and exhaust fan issues, doors open to that space that should have been closed that was causing some increased energy use. These are really kind of low cost, no cost improvements that literally don't come with a significant capital expense at all, but does save the public money. This is the fairly small solar thermal project. We entertained two solar thermal initiatives within the district. One was the Hoover High School pool, which was an exorbitant facility. And in order to provide solar thermal hot water to that system, we were going to have to cover the majority of the real estate at the Hoover Meredith campus. So the decision was made to not pursue that one and kind of investigate domestic hot water systems similar to the one you see here at Wright. Weeks Middle School, I think it's Weeks. I think that's the school out by the zoo. Anyway, there are 2 solar thermal systems, one about twice the size of this one, and then this particular one that we chose to. These pictures are from a case study that we developed for IDEA, who are also interested in the technology. One of the good things about this project is it came with significant savings, but it also was kind of a package system that the district could buy and install themselves. So it came with a fairly low payback in our opinion, which is a little less than 9 years, a little more than 8. Given all the other energy saving projects that the district has entertained, an 8-year payback is actually pretty good for Des Moines schools. All the 2- and 3-year projects have been kind of gobbled up. So as we continue to try to, continuously improve from an energy use standpoint on an annual basis, this project is something that I certainly believe they will be committed to looking at this primarily in a lot of all electric facilities where fossil fuel is not needed.
Next slide, Jordan, if you can.
This is just a diagram of the 120 gallon system. Give you an idea how it works. Very simply, very simple to use, very simple to install. Next slide, Jordan. And then I really think it's important that we highlight kind of Des Moines Schools' commitment from an ethical standpoint to efficiency. Many times when we do these kind of presentations, we're identifying significant capital improvements, simple paybacks, energy savings. We all have seen that. Des Moines Schools looks at efficiency from an ongoing review of every single building. If you want to go onto the Des Moines Schools website, you'll see they have an energy report card that is updated for every building within the district. They show comparisons from month to month, this month this year to this month last year kind of thing. They're very action oriented. Give you an idea of how committed they are even from a staff standpoint. If a faculty member within the district wants a coffee pot or a microwave or a space heater, they have to pay for it. They have to pay for the energy that goes into it. So, and they know that, and they seem committed to it. So we've even got, faculty and staff buy-in. And then obviously being very, very action oriented. We meet every week, even virtually now, to talk about what can be done to save money on an ongoing basis. Emily's telling me to speed up. So anyway, that's the extent of our presentation. Happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Yeah, and I'll note too that, Kelly already mentioned this a little bit, but yeah, sometimes we're looking at, the more attractive, larger scale projects, but really I think the true winner with DMPS is the slow and steady. The fact that they're constantly monitoring and making tweaks, and it helps them get ahead of things that could be huge energy dumps or big preventative maintenance issues. And I think the motivation for DMPS is, 3-pronged. They know that it has, a significant financial benefit. They're thinking about the people that are using their buildings and the community around them. And they want, the space to be comfortable and productive and safe. And then also there's the external motivation. So, definitely driven by the fact that, they want to reduce their carbon footprint and be good stewards. And, there's the added benefit of stimulating the economy when they continue to implement these projects.
Thank you to Kelly and Emily. We do have time for, let's just do one question here. If we have any time remaining, we can go back. I will open it up first to folks at the panelist level.
But this is Councilman Mandelbaum, one of the things that you mentioned is this is an all-electric building, and that was part of the conversion. Could you talk about the opportunity? Could you talk about the opportunity for more buildings to go all electric and the savings that you see when that happens?
Yeah, Josh, that's a good question. There are many buildings within Des Moines schools that are all electric. Probably going back close to 20 years, the commitment was made on the part of Des Moines schools to add air conditioning to buildings that only had steam or hot water heat. And to do that, the commitment was made to convert buildings to geothermal technology, which is still the commitment to this day. Moving in that direction to geothermal, that's really the first significant step towards converting a building to all electric. So most of the buildings that can be converted to all electric have been converted to all electric. Some of the older 3-story brick facilities, it's a little difficult to get, the ductwork and the sheet metal and things that we need to add fresh air in spaces and still be code compliant. So those still do have some fossil fuels in them, but I certainly can see going forward that all electric will be the direction that Des Moines schools would go. All of the more recent additions, which I believe there are close to 15 construction projects going on right now that are either added vestibules or new gymnasiums or multi-purpose facilities. Those are all electric designs. So the commitment is certainly there. Where they can go all electric, they will.
And then for those, as it applies to other folks, I mean, it is a really good way to kind of set yourself up for, renewable energy in the future. So we always say energy efficiency first. Let's get the building tight. Let's get it operating as efficiently as possible. And moving to an all electric facility just prepares you to then take that next step and go in renewable energy. The caveat there is oftentimes the rate can make or break the economics of some of these projects. So making sure that you are considering your utility rate and factoring that in the accounting at the onset is really important.
Yeah, and I might add that I'm not sure how widely this is known, but it certainly is a public project. Mitchell Elementary on the south side of Des Moines has a solar PV project that's on the drawing board right now. The engineers are putting the design together, and that will be put out to the bidding community for installation. Initial feasibility studies show that given the reducing price of solar PV, that it's looking like Des Moines schools will start to move in the direction of doing some more PV. We hope, with Mitchell being the first one that's being looked at, and that's also an all-electric building.
Well, thank you for that, Kelly. That was the subject of a few questions in our Q&A as well, solar schools. So thank you for touching on that. We're going to keep talking about solar. We're going to turn it over now to Ben and Tyler from CB Solar, a solar company located here in the city of Des Moines. Ben and Tyler, take it away.
All right, good morning. Thank you, Jordan. Welcome to CB Solar. We are on Lower Beaver here in Des Moines. We are a small turnkey contractor. Ben and I are both industrial engineers from Iowa State. We run a small company here, but we've done projects ranging from just a small number of panels for some off-grid DNR projects. And we've worked with some of the 6 larger utility projects throughout the state. So we've done everything. When we started, our main, focus was agriculture. We did a lot of animal facilities, grain handling, regular farmsteads. And as the farm market changes year to year, our customer base shifts. We do more, residential and small commercial now than we used to. We started in 2013. We moved into our facility here in 2014. So here at CB Solar on Lower Beaver, we have 36 kilowatts of solar. We are not off grid, but we provide more than 100% of our electric need The rest of it goes back to Mid-American. It feeds our neighbors, and it just stays in a bank for us, I guess. Since inception, CB Solar has installed over 600 individual solar projects across the state. That totals over 17.5 megawatts. And that is a number that doesn't mean much, so I'll try to quantify it a little better. 17.5 megawatts means about 50,000 solar panels, like what we have behind us here. So we have gone through lots and lots of those. We are a small company. We have 6 full-time employees, and they are spread across the state. The end of the year is always our busy time. So that's why we didn't provide a wonderful slide for you today. So we proper. We have 20 individual projects we've completed around here, totaling about 200 kilowatt hours, or 200 kilowatts. As far as kilowatt hours, our Des Moines only customers produce about 240,000 kilowatt hours every year. And that varies between commercial and residential projects. The other thing that we have going on here, we've started to explore with our sister company, electric vehicles, and not necessarily cars, but we have started to convert some small construction equipment to electric from gasoline or diesel. That is our new project. We have 1 prototype tractor running right now, all electric. And the first quarter here of 21, we have a couple different excavators that we will, I guess, modify and start our testing with various battery technologies. We've been using lead acid batteries. We just got a shipment of new lithium batteries that we're going to be custom building some packs for these equipment. So that's a lot of things real fast. If I skip something, please let me know. Ben, if you have anything to add, please.
Well, great. I do think we have some questions for you. I'll say, first of all, I'm really interested in your move into battery-powered construction equipment or heavy equipment, farm equipment. I think that's an emerging market, and I'm glad it's being done here by a local company in Des Moines. So we look forward to good things from you and your innovations and learning. We do have 2 questions in the Q&A. I want to go back to one from Sam earlier, who asked about, let's see if I can find it. I'm curious to know the process for Des Moines homeowners for installing solar. They also want to know what direction pitch angle works best for solar panels.
Sure. So I guess I'll start with the question first. So that the ideal, I guess, solar panel orientation would be facing south, of course. If it's fixed static to a roof, no tracking or anything, about 30 degrees is the ideal location for a panel here in central Iowa, or even most of Iowa. So south 30 degrees is best. You can still go east and west, that's not a problem. You take about a 10 to a 15% loss in annual production if you deviate too far from south. And then I guess since we have the captive Des Moines audience here, Des Moines is, in our experience, the most friendly solar city in the state. The process here is easy, it's straightforward, it's logical. So we love when we get projects here. Did I miss anything there, Ben?
So yes, I guess the process to actually go solar residentially or commercially, and basically it's sizing a system based on your need, your usage, and then going through the proper channels of the city for permitting and through the utility for interconnection processing, making sure that you conform to their grid appropriately and signing agreements with them for power transport back and forth.
Great. Well, we have time for just one quick question, then we'll move on to our final presentation. Sharon asks, where are your solar panels manufactured?
Sure. We have several different brands that we install. They vary. Some are from Texas, Canada. Some of the larger panels are from Vietnam. So it really depends on what the customer wants, what's available. But pretty much those three suppliers are where we go.
Well, very good. Well, I hate to cut this off a little early, but we'll move on to our final presentation. This will be from DART, Des Moines Area Regional Transit Authority. Keith, Elizabeth, and Amy, take it away.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Persutti, and I'm the CEO here at DART, and want to talk to you today a little bit about DART Central Station. The facility opened in November of 2012, so we have about just over 8 years of experience, and we have a lot of sustainable features that were built into the facility. If you've lived in Des Moines long enough, you'll remember that all of our transfer activity occurred on Walnut Street. So DART Central Station has been a huge improvement for the community as well as our customers. And from the inception of when this facility was even thought of, we really wanted to make sure that it was as sustainable as possible to really emulate the sustainability of public transportation. And so, you know, the facility is very centrally located in Des Moines, very walkable, and we were able to utilize an undeveloped site. It was, and actually reduce some parking spaces in Des Moines. The lot had a warehouse on it, as well as a parking lot that was utilized for Wells Fargo. So was able to do that. We also incorporated a really smart design. We looked at how we best use stormwater. We integrated geothermal heating and cooling systems. We have a variety of different transportation options, of course, solar panels, recycling, and all the things that you would anticipate in a sustainable facility. We really worked to ensure that we had a lot of daylight and sun access. Our operations and maintenance facility has like 4 windows in it. And so as we built this, we really wanted to make sure we had a lot of windows. And so 93% of the space is daylit, and 90% of the space within the building, somebody can view the outside. Again, we use sun for power. We have 178 solar panels. And since the building opened, we've produced over 375,000 kilowatt hours. And we've estimated that cost savings to be at over $40,000. We've also seen a reduction of CO2 by over 317,000 pounds, or 158 tons. On a sunny day when it's 65 or 70 degrees outside, we do hit net zero and overproduce enough to get a payback from Mid-American Energy. And our investment on the solar arrays as part of that project at that time was just over $200,000. As I said earlier, we did incorporate a geothermal heating and cooling system. We have 78 geothermal wells, and it's a well loop system. And the primary heating and cooling are done by the well loop system, and it's controlled by the main handler. We have 36 heat pumps that run in one direction and then reverse direction for cooling. And the main drives are 210 feet deep. On an average month, our gas bill is about $30, and we do run 2 instant hot water heaters and a backup generator, which is also on natural gas. We do have also thought about the stormwater component, given the roof space and the impervious surface and on the site. So we do have a $20,000 or 20,000 gallon cistern system and then also a 500 gallon internal tank. And we've saved over 4.8 million gallons of water in the 8 years that we've been open, and estimate that to be a savings of around $28,000. And the investment on that cistern was $130,000. But do believe that being able to reuse that water and and not put that into the stormwater system has been helpful for everyone. We also really worked to ensure that we were thinking about the products being used to build the facility. 24% of the construction materials were recycled, and 28% of those materials were manufactured regionally. And so with the facility, we really aim to create a place that the community could be proud of, that our customers could be proud of and find utility in, to connect them to everywhere they need to go, and to all of our member communities so that they can get to jobs and work and school and medical appointments. I also want to talk a little bit about our electric bus pilot program. This week was a big week for us. On Tuesday, we put all of our electric buses into service in downtown Des Moines. They are primarily running on the Route 60, which is our University Ingersoll loop. And so we have purchased 7 electric buses, and with a range that we're hopeful to get over 200 miles a day on or a charge on the vehicle. We did, as part of the project, have to do a significant electric